Don't here we go again on this subject. Just don't, because, listen, however annoyed or impatient or just outright angry you get whenever a Brandon Ayuk ends up not coming to Pittsburgh or a Devontae Adams ends up losing to Pittsburgh twice in as many weeks, that has nothing to do with Omar Khan's job, which really, if you think about it, is like that every day. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll also check out. Yes, Cooper Kupp is being made available for a trade by the Rams, according to multiple reports out of Los Angeles, multiple reliable reports from real live media outlets out of Los Angeles. Kupp was actually asked about this after the Rams practice and commented on it, and he's heard it too. So don't equate every random nobody with 20 followers on Twitter to what you're hearing from actual reporters. If you do, that's on you. The Rams, who need cap space desperately, probably more than any other NFL team, if you're even casually aware of how they mortgaged their future, like for the next century to win that Super Bowl, they want to move Kupp. And they're ready, according to these multiple reports, to move him and even take on some of his 2024 salary in exchange for a second-round draft pick. And this hasn't been executed by the Steelers. Why exactly? Is it because Kupp's been out since week 2 because of a sprained ankle? Nope, because the expectation in LA is that he's going to be ready and available to play in the Rams Thursday night game against the Vikings. Means he's fine. Is it because Kupp's very expensive? He's got a $26.7 million salary in the middle of a 4-year contract that expires in 2026? Nope, because as we've established through all these other scenarios, the Steelers have that money. They don't necessarily have it sitting, on the desk in front of them. They'd have to rework a couple of things with a couple of guys, but it would be easy enough to get done in short order. Is it because they'd worry that at age 31 he might not still have it? No chance of that. In the 2 games that Kupp played for the Rams before getting hurt, he had, sit down for this, 18 catches for 147 yards and a touchdown. He can still do the Cooper Kupp thing. He can still look very much like the Super Bowl MVP. This is a big-time player. This is, I don't want to get into, where does he rank against Ayuk and Adams and all the other guys who've popped up along the way. But he'd be on my very, very, very short list of any name that's come up in any context of being available via trade. The Rams aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. And to repeat, I think everyone pretty much knew that at the time of the Super Bowl. And for it to already become known that they'd take on some of his salary, that all they'd want back is a second rounder, seems to me they're pretty eager to move along and begin it's going to be a long and arduous process of restocking the Rams through the draft. And do I really have to insult anybody's intelligence here and point out what a fit he'd be for the existing and glaring hole in this offense? A possession guy who can, no, you don't need me to sell you on Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to do that. And I'm sure nobody would have to sell Khan on him or Mike Tomlin or anybody associated with the Steelers. Maybe this is just the way this was all supposed to play out, that these other guys were going to say no or get injured or whatever. But there's no denying how well this could work, in addition to how much it's needed. Go and get this player. Get him today. Get him before he gets into another game. Buy him a little extra time to heal up that ankle. Now, I'm not one of those people to cast off lightly the concept of giving up all your remaining cap space, and certainly not the type to downplay parting with a second-round pick, particularly not right after the summer in which they got Zach Frazier with a second-round pick. There's real value to be had there. But this team, right now, is 5-2 overall, tied for first in the AFC North. 4-1 inside the conference. If they were to go, the Steelers, 5-5 the rest of the way, they're still a 10-7 team and very much in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs in this thing that I'm laying out for you here. Why would you not want to give this your best shot? And if you're holding on to that extra cap space, why? What are you doing? What are you doing? I know it can roll over. I also don't care. You have it now. Use it now. Get aggressive. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
Before we get to today's J1Q, I want to send my own shout out to all of the people who responded to yesterday's episode about Deshaun Elliott. And let me tell you why. There's a common thinking that the media lives for the negative, or from the media perspective, that everybody who consumes the media feasts off the negative. Now, to an extent, both things are true. As a former newspaper editor of mine once spoke, no one ever writes City Hall to say that they did a great job picking up the trash that morning. But where Elliott's concerned, I'm going to tell you that I was concerned in doing the episode. To an extent, I don't ever want to do this show toward a hoped-for reaction. I only want to do it because it's either information I have or a stance that I have that I really feel like sharing. But the response to this was so overwhelmingly positive, and I don't just mean in the comments and people saying the right things, whether it was on the DK Pittsburgh Sports website or YouTube or wherever, because that's easy to do. What's not easy to do is to go ahead and listen to the entire show as opposed to thinking, boy, this doesn't sound like a very hot take. I'm not going to press play on this. It was one of the highest audiences that we've had for a midweek show in all of 2024. You showed up, and you showed up for a guy who's been a robust positive, and I think that's really cool. So I'm thanking you. Now, to the actual J1Q, it comes from Nate, who says, hey, DK, do you think opponents have figured out the Steelers' pass rush, whether it be from blocking schemes or just how fast the opposing quarterback gets the ball out? It's just so strange to not see this pass rush getting to the quarterback from the edge before the ball comes out. Nate, one of the things that I had mentioned last week on this show was that Aaron Rodgers is operating right now with the fastest release time in the NFL. And if that concept sounds familiar, that's because the last time we had one of those leaders in Pittsburgh was Ben Roethlisberger. Why? Because he knew his line was pretty much in shambles, and he had to preserve himself for the Steelers to be competitive that year. So Ben would get the ball and get rid of it almost like a volleyball player. I mean, it became comical at times. He'd be back there in the shotgun, get it, boom, it's gone. Rodgers wasn't that far off the other night, but there was another factor in this, which is the real reason I'm glad that you brought this up. TJ wasn't getting double teamed by the Jets. There were occasions where he was getting triple teamed. And if that sounds like hyperbole, I will challenge you to go look at the film for yourself. I saw it live at a couple of points during the game and then checked on the film to make sure that my eyes weren't playing tricks with me. 3 Jets would be on him. So what ends up happening in such a circumstance, obviously, is that the pressure goes to the other guys on the team to get the job done. I thought Alex Highsmith was terrific. I thought Alex reminded everybody of what's been missed while he's gone. Keanu Benton was really good. And as I mentioned to him in passing after the game, it's not going to be the type of thing, I don't think, that's going to necessarily show up in cold, hard statistics, but he won his individual battles at a crazy rate. Other guys stepped up, made plays, made sure that after a couple of early runs, that Breece Hall wasn't going to get anywhere, and he didn't. And believe me, TJ is very much the type who he's not going to take it lying down. He's not going to say, really, you're going to send 3 guys at me and I'm supposed to knock myself out trying to get through you? He's not that. He's still going to try to rip their jerseys off getting back there. But he also understands what's going on and what has to happen as a result. All of that said, Nate, I am very much in favor, and this is not the first time I'm going to say this season, of moving TJ around. I get the advantage of allowing the opponent to put 3 guys on 1, but I never want to do that to my best player. I want him. He doesn't have to go all Max Crosby and bounce around all over the place, but he does need to be cut loose. And by the way, if you do that, then you force the other team to move their 3 people around or whatever to wherever it is that TJ lines up. So it's a win-win-win, counting all 3 of those guys blocking TJ. I appreciate the question. I appreciate all of you. I really do. And we're going to have a double shot today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time in the same place that you found this.